Hello, my name is Eleanor Hendriks, and I'd like to talk to you today about something that is near and dear to my heart, pottery glaze education. Radioactive pottery glazes were popular in the first half of the 20th century. Uranium used to be used to achieve the bright and very collectible orange Fiesta ware. The amount of radiation in this ware is still easily detectable with a Geiger counter. I'm a potter with an interest in both science and art. Here's me in my dust mask, protecting my lungs from fine-grained silica and other bad stuff that you might find in glazes when you're mixing them. I've been testing and developing my own glazes for many years, and I get a real kick out of seeking the perfect glaze. In the video, you can see test tiles, mini test tiles that I've made in pursuit of the perfect glaze. Not all potters enjoy glaze development as much as I do. In this presentation, I will describe the present state of glaze knowledge for hobby potters, the problems of untested glazes, harms that can come from glazes with faults, sources of glaze information and their drawbacks, especially for hobby potters. And I would propose a solution to the challenges of glaze education for hobby potters. In my experience as a hobby instructor, hobby potters are eager to know more about glazing, even if they are wary of the science that are involved. The resources and supportive glaze experts are out there, and the need for the education is great. All that's needed is a way to bring it together in a way that is not intimidating and might even be fun. This is the Guelph Community Pottery Center. I teach there and also at Alchemy Clay Studio in Guelph. We do not at either place teach glaze chemistry to the pottery students. The city is concerned about liability, so only one person is permitted to use the glaze materials. And Alchemy Clay Studio, like many professional pottery studios, just doesn't have room in their glazing area to bring in students. Ron Roy and John Hesselberth are known as glaze gurus in the ceramics community, and they've written a book aimed at the types of people I've been describing, people who are in a position of needing to learn how to use glazes. I was lucky enough to take one of their classes, so I have a book with the signature. Ooh, can you see that? There you go. And in their book, they say there are thousands of glaze recipes circulating among potters or printed in books that, for one reason or another, are totally unsuitable for use on functional pottery and may even be of questionable durability for less demanding sculptural or decorative work. Just a quick run through of some of the possible glaze faults. One of them is crazing, where the glaze has crackly lines, which can look very cool but are excellent for harboring bacteria. Shivering, where the glaze is too big for the pot and pops off in sharp little shards. And blistering, where there's cool looking craters with super sharp edges. While most of these glaze faults are visually very obvious and would never make it to the sales table, it would still be a really great disappointment to a potter to have so much time and materials wasted by faulty glazes. When faulty glazes do make it through to the customer, that can cause harm to the reputation of the pottery community as a whole. And there's also a fairly slight, but still existent, possibility of physical harm. People may ingest things that are not normal food ingredients. So we'd like to be able to formulate our glazes in a way that does not cause these problems. When hobby potters realize that they need to learn some glaze chemistry, there are a few options for them. The first one is to embark on a post-secondary education. One of the few institutions that offer glaze chemistry classes would be art schools, but in most schools you can't just take the glaze classes, you have to take the whole program. So that's a pretty big barrier if someone really just wants to learn glazes. The next option is self-education. This is the route that I went. There's lots of information out there on the internet, in books, but it takes a lot of motivation, and if you run stuck, and you don't know something, it's hard to teach yourself the thing that you can't figure out. Another option is to seek out the glaze gurus, like Ron Roy and John Hesselberth. They teach classes, many of them are available online and are often very helpful. But I sometimes worry that we use them up by asking just too many beginner questions. I'd like to propose another option. I believe that learning glaze chemistry could be gamified. In the article, Gamification in Theory and Action, gamification is defined as the intentional use of game elements and game design techniques for a gameful experience of non-game tasks and concepts. Everyone wants self-improvement, but not everyone wants the process that it takes. In the app world, there are lots of examples of self-improvement apps, like MyFitnessPal or Duolingo, which makes getting that exercise, eating those vegetables, and practicing that vocabulary more fun by offering badges, progress meters, leaderboards, friendly competition. And I think that this could be applied to pottery glaze learning as well. And that's where GlazeWise comes in. GlazeWise is the still fictional glaze education app. Ideally, it would offer incentives to learn glaze ingredients qualities, learn to diagnose glaze faults and the fixes for them, and encourage people to develop their own glazes, keep the records necessary to learn from past experience, and overall develop glazing knowledge. I would love to see it have community involvement aspects, some friendly competition, perhaps participation by those glaze gurus I mentioned, without taxing them with too many beginner questions, perhaps at the development stage and as mentors in the app's community. I would also like to see a citizen science element, where the results of the glaze learners are collected together in a database so that there's a collection of glazes that have been tested with their firing conditions and specific ingredients, everything that would help someone learning to do glazing all gathered together in one spot. In summary, I hope that I've been able to show you that hobby potters don't know as much about glaze chemistry as they should, and that this can lead to disappointing glaze faults, and that these glaze faults can cause problems for themselves and the pottery community and the potter customers. I also hope that you can see that my solution, creating a glaze app, might make learning glaze chemistry fun. My dream is to make learning glaze chemistry a community adventure that is enjoyable for hobby potters. If that dream comes true, potters will be adding the GlazeWise certificate to their LinkedIn profiles, the GlazeWise badge to their websites, and displaying the GlazeWise emblem at their pottery sales tables. GlazeWise, coming soon to an app store near you.